Hello everyone. If you want to see how I did a specific part of the video, go to the corresponding times. Or go down below to the description and click on the timestamp. This is a pretty nice clip, but it is a bit boring in my opinion. So we'll create a little animation like this to make it pop out more. Here's how to make it. I use an extension called AEViewer Big Pack. It has lots of these types of animations pre-made. I'll go down to Charisma Shapes. There you'll find the animations we need. I am using number 17 because it looks kind of like a crosshair. Just double click it and it'll show up in the timeline. Move it to where your shot is. It already looks pretty good, but because most things in my montage were red, I am going to make it red. Select the animation and change the color in the effect controls. Now it's a nice red color. To make it more a part of the footage, I am going to move it with the enemy. Just press P and keyframe the position. For this, I'll go to the beginning and move it to the right place. Then go to the middle and move it to the right place again. And lastly, go to the end and move it to the right place one more time. To finish it off, I am going to add a glow effect. I like the effect from Sapphire, but you can also just use the normal glow effect. I'll change the color to red and make it a bit less bright. Now it's looking great. I've just added a second clip, but the cut doesn't look very clean. To fix that, I'll be using another extension called Handy Seamless Transitions. I'll select this transition, but there are loads more for you to try out. Go to the cut in the timeline and with your transition selected, press Add/Replace. When you play it back, it will already look a lot cleaner. But there are some parts in the transition where the mirroring looks weird. To hide this, click the little motion blur icon at the top of your timeline. This will enable motion blur for the transition. Now it looks way cleaner. For the cinematics, I used a cinematics pack made by Apollo M1K3. It's completely free to download, and I've put a link to his video in the description. Just put the cinematics in the timeline and cut them to how long you want them. You can hold Shift to snap them. The clips are going pretty slow though. To speed them up, select the clips and enable time remapping. Then move them to the left so you can see the last keyframes. Drag those keyframes to the end of the clip. And move the clips back to the right. Now they're going a lot faster, but the cuts are very sudden. To make it smoother, select the time remap control and click the graph editor. Select the line and ease the keyframes. Now move the points so it creates this sort of slide pattern. This makes the clip go fast in and out, but slow in the middle. Now make this slide pattern for all clips. Now the cuts are a lot smoother. To make it even smoother, enable motion blur for the clips. Here we have just a normal cinematic, but let's say we want to make some 3D floating text on there. Like this. Begin by pre-composing your cinematic. Can go inside of that pre-comp. With your clip selected, go to the tracker panel. If you don't see it, make sure there is a check mark in front of the tracker here. Then click Track Camera. This will now analyze all the points of your clip frame by frame. Here where it says initializing, it will show how many frames it has done and how much time is remaining. Just wait for this to be done. Now that it's done, you can see lots of points. If you turn on Render Track Points and play it back, you'll see the points following your clip. After that, you can turn it back off. If your points don't look very good, try playing around with these advanced settings. Or search for another video that goes more in depth on camera tracking. But since my track is good, I'll click Create Camera. Now you have a camera in your timeline. But when you play it back, nothing seems to change. This is because we haven't added anything yet that uses the camera. So we'll create a text layer and make it say whatever you want. If you don't really need to be 3D and just want the floating text, just click the cube on your text. Now it already follows your clip. And with the position and rotation property, you can move it to wherever you want. But I want 3D text, so I will go back. can create a new solid. Then you need a plugin called Element 3D from Video Copilot. Just search for it in the effects panel and apply it to the solid you just created. We can hide the original text for now since we'll be using the solid for the rest. In the effects of the solid, go to Custom Texts and Masks and choose your text layer. Then in the scene setup, click Extrude. You should see your 3D text now. With the Z-Scale property, you can make the extrude thicker and thinner. For this solid, you don't need to change it to a 3D layer because it already recognizes the camera in your composition. You can see that it's already floating with the clip. You can't just move it with the position property as we did with the normal text. What you'll need to do is go to the World Transform option in the effect and change the position, scale and rotation from there. You can play around with these settings, but I know what will work well with this. When you play it back, it stays at that place. And since we made a pre-comp, our time map still works. This way it fits nicely with our other cinematics. Now we'll be making shots look way cooler. Let's start from the beginning. It's helpful to set a marker where your shot has just hit. First, create an adjustment layer where we'll be creating all effects on. And create a solid where we'll be making the black bars on. Let's start with those. Search for an effect called CC Jaws and apply it to the solid. This effect will create some teeth-like bars, but we want them flat. To make them flat, change the height property to 0. Turn on keyframes for the completion property and go back from your shot hit about 5 frames and set it to 100%. Next, go to your actual shot hit and turn it down a bit. For me, 75% works fine. Then go about 20 frames further and change it back to 100%. Now to make them smoother, select the keyframes. Right-click and go to Keyframe Assistant and choose Easy Ease. The black bars are done now. For the adjustment layer first, we'll be adding CC Light Burst 2.5. This is how we want it to look at the shot hit. So set a keyframe on the intensity. For the ray length, hold Alt and click on the keyframe icon. Then drag from the swirl to the intensity property and divide that by 2. You can now just click away. What we've just done is made it so we only have to animate the intensity property. Because we have made the ray length change according to the intensity automatically. Now again move 5 frames back and set intensity to 0. Then go to where the black bars end. And also set that to 0. Now press F9 to easy ease the keyframes. You can also do it with the right-click method from earlier, but I find this easier. For the next effect, add transform. We'll use this for the zooming in. I'll go through this a bit faster because it's basically the same for all effects. Just go to the first keyframe and turn on keyframes for scale. Then go to your middle keyframe and change it to about 150. Lastly, go to the end keyframe again and change the scale back to 100. Now it looks like the bars are pushing the clip. For the next effect, it has shake. It's an effect from the Sapphire plugin. I'll change the frequency down to 4 and at the shot hit set a keyframe for the amplitude. Go to the first keyframe and set it to 0. Then go to the last keyframe and also set that to 0. I noticed that I forgot to easy ease the transform effect. So I'll do it now for both. For me, it isn't really enough shake, so I move it up to an amplitude of 2. That's looking better. For the last effect, we'll be creating the RGB split. To do that, add the as time warp RGB effect. This is another effect from Sapphire. You can see that by default it already has some RGB splitting. So go to the first keyframe and turn on the little stopwatch left to red and blue, and turn them down to 0. Next, go to your shot hit and change them to 1 in -1. Lastly, go to the end keyframe and change them back down to 0. Select your keyframes again and ease them. Now our effect is complete. Now we have a great video already, but it's a bit bright and doesn't look cinematic. So just create a new adjustment layer. And apply an effect called looks. This is also a plugin. Just go to Edit. For Fortnite, I found the classic tension in the blockbuster category working the best. Just click Edit and then click on the check mark below. Now it's looking a lot more cinematic. If you still have any more questions about how I did anything, feel free to ask in the comments. I will try to reply as fast as possible. Thanks for watching.